Hi, welcome back. Ever found a $2 coin worth $55,000 or a 20-cent piece worth $50,000? These everyday coins could change your life if you know what to look for. First up, 1937 crown, large silver coin, issued for King George VI's coronation. Imagine holding in your hand a hefty piece of Australia's royal heritage, one that was minted not just to spend, but to celebrate. The year is 1937. And a new monarch has ascended the throne. King George VI, the father of the future Queen Elizabeth II, has just been crowned, and to commemorate this momentous occasion, the Australian government decided to do something that hadn't been done in decades: issue a crown-sized coin. This wasn't just any coin. It was a true showpiece, a massive 38.5 mm wide and weighing nearly 28.28 grams, crafted from 92.5% sterling silver. The 1937 Australian crown was never intended for everyday transactions. It was struck as a commemorative coin, yet released into circulation. For many Australians of the time, it was the first and only time they'd ever see a coin of such grandeur. What sets the 1937 crown apart is not only its size and precious metal content, but also its incredibly intricate design. The obverse features the crowned effigy of King George VI, sculpted by Thomas Humphrey Paget, a regal portrait framed by the legend George Rex F. Imp. It's a powerful reminder of Australia's ties to the British monarchy during that era. Turn the coin over, and you'll find one of the most unique reverses ever minted by the Royal Australian Mint. The St. Edward's crown surrounded by a laurel wreath. Resting boldly in the center, the words "One Crown" and the date 1,937 inches are inscribed along the edge. It was the only Australian coin to ever feature this type of crown so dominantly, symbolizing the royal authority and unity of the Commonwealth. Now let's talk rarity and value. While this coin wasn't considered rare at the time, with a mintage of 1 million pieces, many were quickly withdrawn or lost due to public confusion. Most Australians thought it was worth more than its face value of 5 shillings and hoarded them away. As a result, fewer circulated examples survived in high grades, making pristine examples highly desirable today. In terms of market value, a circulated 1937 crown can fetch anywhere from $500 to $1,500 depending on condition. But if you're lucky enough to find one in uncirculated or proof-like condition, you could be looking at upwards of $55,000 or more, especially if it has strong eye appeal or is graded by a reputable agency. But more than the money, this coin stands as a proud symbol of Australia's mid-20th century identity, loyal to the crown, proud of its monarchy, and embracing its role on the global stage. For collectors, it's not just a coin, it's a slice of history forged in silver. Next up, 1938 crown, low mintage, more scarce than 1937. Just 1 year after the release of the 1937 Australian crown, the Royal Australian Mint struck a second edition, this time, something that would go on to become one of the rarest and most sought-after coins in the country's numismatic history. The 1938 crown wasn't just a repeat of the previous year's design. It was a deliberate, limited release aimed more at collectors and dignitaries than the general public. And unlike the million-strong mintage of 1937, only 101,600 of the 1938 crowns were ever produced. That's less than 1/10 of the prior year's total, instantly making it a low mintage rarity. The design itself remains largely the same. The obverse again features the stately portrait of King George VI by Thomas Humphrey Paget. Crowned and facing left, it's a strong and dignified image, fitting for the post-Edwardian era and symbolic of the steady leadership the monarch would provide during the coming war years. But it's the reverse that continues to captivate collectors to this day. The iconic St. Edward's crown encircled by laurel, bold, simple yet unmistakably regal. This is the last Australian coin ever issued for circulation to bear the denomination of 1 crown, or 5 shillings. After 1938, the denomination was retired permanently. So why the sudden drop in production numbers? Several factors came into play. First, public reception of the 1937 crown was lukewarm. Many Australians didn't see a need for such a large denomination coin. Others simply hoarded the coins as keepsakes, perceiving them more as a metal than currency. Secondly, as the world edged closer to war in 1938, priorities shifted, and so did minting strategies. Because of its low mintage and historical context, the 1938 crown has become one of the crown jewels, pun intended, of Australian silver coin collecting. Prices for this coin reflect its scarcity. A well-circulated example can bring in between $3,000 and $6,000, but uncirculated or proof-like examples can fetch over $45,000, and in top mint state grades, some have sold for $52,000 or more at auctions. For serious collectors, the 1938 crown isn't just an investment, it's a cornerstone piece. It symbolizes the end of an era, both in terms of coinage and global stability. With WWII looming, 1938 was the last quiet year before the storm. This coin captures that moment, majestic, calm and full of tradition, forever frozen in silver. Whether you're a collector chasing low mintage rarities, or a history buff, drawn to the final echoes of the British Empire's golden age, the 1938 Australian crown is a timeless treasure. Next up, round 50-cent coin 1966. Step into 1966, an iconic year in Australian history. This was the dawn of a new decimal age. Pounds, shillings, and pence were out. Dollars and cents were in. And leading the charge of Australia's new currency system was a bold, striking coin, the round 50-cent piece, minted from 80% silver. When most Australians first saw the 1966 round 50-cent coin, they were astonished by its size and shine. At 31.5 millimeters wide and 13.28 grams in weight, this was a coin that made a statement. Unlike today's dodecagonal 50-cent coin, this one was completely round, and it gleamed with a silvery brightness that stood out in wallets and tills across the country. What made the 1966 50-cent coin so unique wasn't just its shape, it was its silver content. At 80% purity, each coin contained about 0.34 ounces of actual silver, giving it an intrinsic metal value that fluctuated with the market. That silver content, while initially unnoticed by the public, would eventually lead to the coin's downfall. On the obverse is the young effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, this time by designer Arnold Machen. It's a clean, elegant portrait surrounded by the words, Elizabeth II Australia 1966. The reverse features the Australian coat of arms, emblematic kangaroo and emu flanking the shield, with intricate detailing that sparkles under close inspection. The denomination 50 sits boldly beneath the design. Here's where things get interesting. Soon after release, people realized that the coin's melt value, the price you'd get for the silver alone, was climbing dangerously close to, and in some cases higher than, its face value of 50 cents. This led to widespread hoarding. Thousands, if not millions, of coins were pulled from circulation by the public and bullion dealers alike. The government quickly responded by discontinuing the coin after just 1 year of production. The official mintage was over 36 million, but it's estimated that a large portion of these coins were melted down for silver over the years. Today, finding a 1966 round 50-cent coin in pristine condition is much rarer than the original mintage might suggest. Value-wise, the coin is a real gem. Circulated examples typically sell for $150 to $250, while uncirculated or high-grade versions can command $25,000 to $28,000 or more, depending on luster, tone, and eye appeal. Proof-like examples and mint rolls are highly prized by collectors. But this coin is more than a collector's item. It's a symbol of transformation. The 1966 round 50-cent piece marks Australia's bold leap into a modern decimal currency system. It was the first and last silver coin of the decimal era made for general circulation. Next up, 1984 first $1 coin, kangaroo design introduced. Let's go back to 1984. Australia was buzzing with change. Bob Hawke was Prime Minister, the dollar was strong, and the Royal Australian Mint was about to release something bold, brand new and distinctly Australian, the very first $1 coin in the country's history, replacing the old paper $1 note. The introduction of this coin marked a turning point in Australia's monetary system. And what better way to make it memorable than to feature one of the most iconic symbols of the land down under, the kangaroo. This coin wasn't just currency, it was a statement of national identity. Crafted in aluminium bronze, the coin had a unique gold-like appearance that set it apart from other denominations. It weighed 9 grams, measured 25 millimeters across, and had a milled edge with tiny interruptions known as incuse milling. Designed to help people with visual impairments identify it easily. But the real highlight was the artwork. The reverse was designed by the legendary Stuart Devlin, a master goldsmith and official jeweler to the Queen. His design featured 5 bounding kangaroos, each gracefully leaping in unison across the golden field. The detail is astonishing, muscle tone, movement and energy frozen in metal. Devlin didn't just create a coin. He created a miniature sculpture of national spirit. On the obverse was the crowned effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, sculpted by artist Raphael Makhlouf. It's the image that would appear on many coins of the era, regal and dignified, representing Australia's place in the Commonwealth. What makes the 1984 $1 coin particularly important isn't just that it was the first. It's that it marked a transition. Australians were shifting from paper to coinage, and while the public initially resisted, the durability and longevity of the coin soon won them over. Paper notes wore out fast, coins could last decades. As for collectability, millions were minted, over 186 million. To be exact, so in circulated condition. These coins are quite common, and usually worth just face value. But uncirculated coins in mint condition, especially those from mint sets, or still sealed in Royal Australian mint packaging, can fetch between $18,000 to $25,000, depending on condition and luster. Proof versions, struck with special dies for collectors, are even more valuable. This coin started it all, the kangaroo dollar. It laid the foundation for over a dozen commemorative and circulating designs that followed in the decades to come. And even now, it continues to bounce across Australia's economy and into the hands of collectors around the world. It's not just money, it's a golden token of Aussie pride. Next up, 2001 Mule coin, major error with incorrect obverse die. Now here's where things get seriously exciting for collectors. Picture this, it's the year 2000. The Royal Australian Mint is busily striking commemorative coins to mark the new millennium. But in the midst of this coin production frenzy, a mistake is made, one that would go down as one of the most famous and valuable minting errors in Australian history. That mistake, the 2001 Mule coin. To the average person, this coin might look like a normal $1 coin. It still has the classic 5 kangaroos on the reverse. It still features Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. But look a little closer. Look at the rim around the Queen's head, and you'll spot the difference. The error lies in the obverse die. Somehow, the mint accidentally used the obverse die from a 10-cent coin when striking a batch of $1 coins. This created a mismatched pair, what numismatists call a mule. The result, a $1 coin with a noticeably thicker, double rim on the obverse side, especially around the portrait of the Queen. This wasn't a tiny mistake, it was a massive blunder. But ironically, it's that very blunder that made the coin legendary. Only a small number of these mule coins were ever released into circulation, most believed to have emerged from the Perth Mint. As part of coins sent to Western Australia, it's estimated that somewhere between 6,000 to 7,000 may have escaped into the public. But no one knows for sure, today. They're one of the most talked about and hunted modern Australian coins. So how much is it worth? That depends entirely on the condition. A well-circulated mule can fetch $3,000 to $6,000. But in high grades, especially coins graded by PCGS or NGC, prices skyrocket. Mint state examples have sold for over $40,000, and one exceptional specimen reportedly sold for more than $60,000 at auction. This coin is a reminder that even in an age of high-tech minting, mistakes happen, and when they do, they create something truly special. If you ever get your hands on change from the year 2000, flip that dollar coin over and examine the rim. You might just be holding one of the most valuable modern errors in Australian coinage. Next up, 1997 small-head $1 coin, scarce variety. In the world of coin collecting, sometimes it's not what's obvious that matters, it's the subtle details, the fine differences that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. That's exactly the case with the 1997 small-head $1 coin, one of the most elusive and underappreciated varieties in the decimal series. At first glance, the 1997 $1 coin looks completely normal. Same golden aluminum bronze, same kangaroos bounding across the reverse, designed by Stuart Devlin. But flip it over and pay close attention to the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. That's where the magic is. In 1997, 2 different obverse dies were used. The standard version features the larger, more common effigy of the Queen by Raphael Makhlouf. but a very small number were struck using an older, smaller head design, one that hadn't been used on circulating $1 coins since earlier in the decade. This is known among collectors as the small head variety. The key differences are subtle. The queen's portrait appears slightly smaller and sits farther away from the coin's rim. The inscriptions have more space around them, and the details in the crown and hairline differ ever so slightly. For the untrained eye, it's easy to miss. But for the numismatist, it's a thrilling discovery. What makes this variety even more intriguing is its rarity. No one knows exactly how many were made, but estimates suggest the number is incredibly low, possibly fewer than 10,000 coins. Because they weren't officially announced or acknowledged at the time, most ended up in circulation and were spent like regular coins. That means if you find one today, you've struck gold, literally and figuratively. In circulated condition, these coins can sell for $2,000 to $4,000. But in uncirculated condition, prices can climb well past $38,000 or even $40,000, depending on grade. PCGS and NGC have certified only a handful of examples, which further fuels their mystique and market value. This coin is a classic example of a sleeper variety, something that hides in plain sight, but offers serious rewards to those who know what to look for. So next time you're going through your change jar or checking your wallet, keep an eye on those 1997 $1 coins. You never know when a small head could make a big difference. Next up, 1988 $2 coins, first years of issue. In 1988, as Australia marked its bicentennial, the Royal Australian Mint introduced a brand new denomination, the $2 coin. Gone was the paper $2 note that had served the country since 1966. In its place came a small, thick, golden coin that would become a cornerstone of Australia's circulating currency. But the launch of the 1988 $2 coin was more than just a change in materials. It was a powerful blend of cultural respect, monetary reform, and artistic expression. Let's start with the coin's specifications. At 20.5 millimeters wide and weighing 6.6 grams, it was small in size but rich in meaning. Struck from aluminium bronze, it had a distinctive golden hue and a reeded edge, making it easy to distinguish by touch and sound. The idea was to create something more durable than a note, one that could last decades in circulation, and it worked. The obverse bore the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Makhlouf, but the real story lies on the reverse. In a remarkable decision, the Mint chose to feature an image of an Aboriginal elder. Designed by artist Horst Hahn, it was based on a composite image of several Aboriginal men, created with input and respect from the Aboriginal community. The design is deeply textured, raw and full of dignity. It's a powerful statement, a quiet recognition of the land's original custodians placed directly on the face of national currency. When the coin was released, it caused a mix of curiosity and confusion. Some people found the small size frustrating. Others worried about losing it. But over time, the coin became a familiar and trusted part of everyday life. And as the years passed, that first 1988 issue gained historical significance. For collectors, 1988 $2 coins in circulation aren't rare. But high-grade uncirculated examples, especially those pulled from mint rolls or presentation sets, are very desirable. Prices for mint state coins can range from $20,000 to $25,000, with proof versions fetching even more. What many collectors look for are errors and varieties. Some 1988 $2 coins show die cracks, weak strikes, or minor rotation errors. While these are not widespread, they do add extra value and collector interest. This coin launched an era, it replaced paper, honored Aboriginal heritage, and proved that big things can come in small packages. The 1988 $2 coin is more than just change. It's a milestone in the evolution of modern Australian money. Next up, 1989 $2 coins, first years of issue. Following the launch of the revolutionary 1988 $2 coin, Australia's monetary system fully embraced this new era of durable, golden coinage. While 1988 marked the debut, the 1989 $2 coin solidified its place as a standard circulating denomination. And although this coin might appear similar to its predecessor, the 1989 $2 issue carries its own story, a continuation of legacy and design, and one that still holds intrigue for collectors. The 1989 $2 coin kept the same specifications, struck from aluminium bronze, with a weight of 6.6 grams, a diameter of 20.5 mm, and a milled edge. The reverse once again featured the Aboriginal elder, a design by Horst Hahn that has since become iconic. Symbolizing dignity, cultural heritage, and continuity, the portrait is framed by the denomination and dual sprigs of Australian flora, warata and eucalyptus. On the obverse remained the crowned effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Makhlouf. However, as we moved into the second year of this coin's life, the novelty had worn off, and the design began its long tenure as a quiet, trusted staple of Australian coinage. Now, here's what makes the 1989 version particularly interesting. Although over 31 million were minted, many of these coins were used heavily in circulation. That means finding high-grade examples, especially uncirculated pieces with original mint luster, can be a challenge. A lot of these coins got scratched, dinged, and worn down quickly in public use. If you come across a mint state 1989 $2 coin, it can be worth $12,000 to $14,000. And coins graded MS65 or higher by PCGS or NGC can command even higher premiums. There's also growing interest in tracking die varieties and striking anomalies among early $2 coins. While none have yet reached legendary era status, subtle differences in the relief of the Queen's hair or the Elder's features can generate considerable buzz among serious collectors. It's easy to overlook coins like the 1989 $2 piece, familiar, common, and quietly circulating in millions of hands. But for those who know its story, this coin is more than change. It's a symbol of Australia's successful transition from fragile banknotes to durable coinage, and a tribute to the enduring design that still holds pride of place in Australian wallets over 3 decades later. Next up, colored $2 commemoratives, widely collected since 2012. In the history of Australian coinage, few innovations have generated as much excitement, buzz, and collector frenzy as the colored $2 commemorative coins. First issued in 2012, these little golden coins have transformed an ordinary denomination into a canvas for celebration, remembrance, and national pride for casual collectors and serious numismatists alike. The colored $2 coins have become some of the most widely sought-after coins in Australia today. It all began in 2012 with the release of the Remembrance Day Red Poppy coin. This marked the first time the Royal Australian Mint applied color directly onto a circulating coin. It was a bold move, combining modern minting technology with a powerful national theme. The reverse featured the traditional Aboriginal elder design, but with a vibrant red poppy added to the center. Along with a black circle, the coin honored those who served in war, and the public response was overwhelming. That single release lit a fire under the Australian coin collecting community. Suddenly, people across the country were checking their change for red poppies. Coin shops were selling out. Online forums exploded with sightings, trades, and values. The Royal Australian Mint knew they had started something special. In the years that followed, an incredible array of commemorative $2 coins followed, each featuring bright, durable colored rings or centers, commemorating key moments in Australia's past and present. We've seen the 2013 coronation $2, with a regal purple ring celebrating Queen Elizabeth II's 60 years on the throne. Widely regarded as one of the most beautiful and valuable $2 coins ever issued. In 2014, the Green Remembrance Poppy marked the centenary of World War I, followed by Anzac Day releases, Olympic and Paralympic coins, and special editions for police, firefighters, frontline workers, and even indigenous art themes. Each design tells a story. Some celebrate historical milestones, others honor frontline heroes. Some are released in high mintage numbers, while others, like the 2012 Red Poppy, remain extremely scarce. Let's talk numbers. The 2012 Red Poppy had a mintage of just 500,000, making it highly collectible. In uncirculated condition, it can fetch $200 to $400, and pristine examples in mint condition, especially if graded, can sell for $16,000 or more. Other key pieces like the 2013 Purple Coronation coin and the 2015 Gallipoli Anzac coin also command strong premiums. Even coins with higher mintages can become sought after. The 2016 Rio Olympic set featured 5 colored $2 coins, and the challenge of collecting the full set from circulation made them instant hits. The popularity of these coins has led to increased public interest in collecting. Families are checking their change. Kids are starting collections. New collectors are emerging every day, all hunting for that elusive splash of color in their wallet. These coins have turned ordinary $2 pieces into vibrant pieces of history, miniature commemorative medallions that circulate among everyday Australians. And with each new release, they cement their place not just in our pockets, but in our culture. Next up, 1966 Wavy Baseline 20 cent. Extremely rare error. Sometimes, it's the smallest irregularities that create the biggest excitement in coin collecting. And few Australian coins illustrate this better than the 1966 Wavy Baseline 20 cent piece, one of the most famous and valuable error coins ever released into circulation. It all began in 1966, the year Australia transitioned from pounds and pence to dollars and cents. The Royal Australian Mint was under immense pressure to produce massive quantities of coins for the new decimal currency system. Among those coins was the newly introduced 20-cent piece, bearing the iconic platypus designed by Stuart Devlin. The obverse, as with all coins at the time, featured the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machen. But here's where the anomaly occurred. On a small number of 20-cent coins minted in 1966, the bottom left part of the numeral 2 on the reverse, specifically, the error was likely caused by a faulty or misaligned die, possibly during the production of coins struck at the Royal Mint in London, one of several mints assisting with the decimal rollout. It's estimated that only a few thousand of these Wavy Baseline coins were ever released into circulation, making them incredibly rare. And because they circulated with ordinary coins, many were used, scratched, or worn before collectors even knew they existed. Today, the Wavy Baseline 20 cent is one of the holy grails of Australian decimal coin errors. In circulated condition, it can fetch $300 to $800, depending on where. In uncirculated or high mint state grades, prices can exceed $20,000, and exceptional pieces have been auctioned for over $50,000. Collectors need to be careful, though some coins appear to have slight curves or worn bases from circulation damage. But only genuine Wavy Baseline errors exhibit a sharp, upward curl at the very end of the 2's base. Magnification and comparison with standard 1966 20-cent pieces is essential. Next up, 1981 Canadian minted 20 cent. Differences in design Australian coin. In 1981, the Royal Australian Mint faced a major challenge. Demand for coins had surged, and domestic production facilities couldn't keep up. To meet the need, Australia turned to overseas mints, including the Royal Canadian Mint, to help strike coins. Among the denominations produced abroad was the humble 20-cent piece. But what no one expected was that these foreign-made coins would feature subtle but unmistakable differences. Differences that have since turned them into an area of fascination for collectors. The 1981 20-cent coins struck in Canada might look nearly identical to their Canberra counterparts at first glance. They bear the same platypus design on the reverse, and the same Queen Elizabeth II effigy by Arnold Machen on the obverse. But under closer examination, small variations begin to emerge, most notably in the rim, strike quality, and finer details of the Queen's portrait. One of the clearest giveaways is the rounded rim and more pronounced denticles, the tiny bead-like marks around the edge of the coin. The Canadian minted coins often show a slightly wider gap between the Queen's neckline and the rim, as well as subtle differences in the font and spacing of the lettering. But the real kicker, the metal composition and strike. Canadian blanks had slightly different metal tolerances and finish, leading to coins with a smoother, sometimes glossier surface, and slightly different wear patterns over time. Some Canadian strikes also exhibit a softer relief compared to Australian minted counterparts. While not technically an error coin, the 1981 Canadian 20-cent piece is considered a variety, and it's actively sought after by collectors looking to build comprehensive decimal collections. These coins circulated alongside Australian minted ones without distinction, and many Australians used them for years without ever realizing their origin. In circulated condition, Canadian 1981 20-cent pieces generally trade for $300 to $350, but uncirculated examples or coins from original mint bags can sell for $16,000 to $18,000 or more. Especially among specialists, they're often included in educational sets and referenced in decimal variety catalogs. Thanks for watching and happy collecting.